Ugly, poorly optimized, buggy, steep learning curve, extremely niche, and overwhelmingly positive. This game has everything big studios fear putting out, every messy detail they are so scared to try selling these days. So why does it work? And more than that, why does it work so well? Let's take this game apart to each of its pieces and try to identify how the sum of these misfit parts adds up to an exponentially more meaningful masterpiece. You have options of how to start. Right from the start screen, the game is telling you it is not in charge of how you play. Other games try and do this, but are so worried about balance that fun gets put on the back burner. Choose what you think will be fun, you're in charge. Now that you've started, good news. You are still in charge. Modern gaming seems to be overly worried with immersion and player buy-in to what the narrative or gameplay is trying to sell you, so oftentimes we load up a new game and start getting bombarded by a narrative we are told we must care about. Kenshi found the perfect, minimalist approach. You aren't told to care because of some amazing world. You care because right from the start, Kenshi is shown to be your world. Now, sitting amongst your world, you realize that hunger bar is ticking down. It's time to start exploring and figuring out your path to survival. Without some marked map or glowing trail to your destination, you go off in any number of directions to start your story, one unique to you. Immediately, 10 minutes into the game, your experience may vary. But while making these choices on your path, you start to realize you're just someone. Someone who can get absolutely bodied by some goats. The stories we have read from our childhood years have been stories of chosen ones, heroes, and all kinds of people who are special. Then we grow up, and while sweating for the money to halfway feed ourselves, we realize we are just someone. I'm not saying stories and media that focus on the spectacular, amazing, awe-inspiring moments and characters are inherently bad. There are so many that are so powerful, but when a piece of media reflects experiences we vividly identify with, the same experiences we have day in and out, I personally feel an immediate connection. There is nothing to set you apart save for being yourself. This is the world you are given to explore. This is the immediate strong immersion. The strong immersion that AAA titles fail time and time again to create with monster budgets and amazing visuals and sound design. Here, it was created mostly by just some guy. So you aren't special. You learn the dangers of goats, and you find whatever your little niche is in the world to survive. Slowly, you build the skills in your character and knowledge in yourself to survive the world and start reaching out further into the world. Maybe you start adding to your squad or exploring the world or taking on harder challenges. Whatever it may be, you start to realize that the open beginning continually opens further to more possibilities. You could start a business in the safety of an established town, hunt bounties, or found your own settlement. These are all completely different games that all exist within the same world, all options available to you. And as you pursue the next chapters of the story that you author on the moon of Kenshi, you begin to finally discover the world around you and realize you aren't just passing by objects scattered randomly, terrains randomly generated. You aren't just hunting some big bad guy for their bounty. These details of the world, these characters, the terrain, speaks to a history that you slowly understand to be concrete and coherently authored as you start to string together some of the bits of information that seem to make sense together. This world wasn't made for the game to be played in. It was made to have a history available to you, not forced upon you, but there to write your story, your present, your future into. One of the greatest accomplishments of the world building and immersion of Kenshi is that in this world, you are never told what is right. When you really think about any of the choices that you will be prompted to make, they are all complicated. Your prompt is to choose the shade of gray that you're most comfortable with and to push forward with it. These stories that you will write your character into are just amazing. I don't want to ruin any of them for you. I don't want to get too much into the world that you will experience in Kenshi here, because I want to leave that to you with the option to do so yourself, should you wish. If you want to know more, I have a whole playlist on my channel devoted to Kenshi lore, but I do want to get here into one slice of a potential story to illustrate why Kenshi is so impactful. After starting your journey around the hub, you venture out into the world around you and happen to set off northwest from the hub. Eventually, you found yourself enveloped in a thick fog, and as you pushed forward, you glimpsed movement amongst the mists. Atop a hill in the distance, you spied a settlement, and fearing what was watching you, quickly ran to the hilltops. Here, you discovered a battle of survivors against the monsters of the mists, and felt thankful for the safety provided for you. While wandering the town trying to plan your escape from the mists, you are approached by a lost hiver drone. He doesn't do much but look at you and beep. In conversation, you discover his patterns of urinary banditry and his lack of understanding of monetary value, and the purest soul left upon a rotting moon. You have discovered Beep. You have now discovered the most meaningful task thrust upon you in all of Kenshi. Protect Beep, whatever the cost. We can go on and on talking about the game mechanics, how they work together, the breadth of choices in front of you, and how to play the game, whether it's an RPG, whether it's a city sim, all of these things. But while many of these aspects are cool, the combat being largely passive with the choice for activity much like an old RuneScape, the amount of choices in how to play making it like 5 games in one. But when you get down to it, all of these things are not what makes the game so special. It's not why I have vivid memories of certain experiences I had playing the game all the way back in 2016. It's the stories that I got to tell myself through playing the game, and the amount of investment I have in those stories. The design choices at the core of the game, from the very start of your introduction to it, that hand you this world and tell you to go and tell your story. That is what makes this game something that sticks with you, that you can't let go. People have thrown ridiculous hours into this game. I myself have spent a few hundred finding stories amongst the ruins, but if you spend any amount of time in the world of Kenshi, you will begin to discover a story. An experience that will inscribe itself into your memory and resurface time and time again to bring you fond memories of the life you lived as just some guy out on the moon of Kenshi and the lessons you learned there. If you want to know more about why Beep is just so darn lovable, why don't you check out this video essay where I seek the answer to that exact question.